watching the Bethel College Football Show.
Shire in at QB, throws the outlet. It's jumped by Trey Palmer. He's going to take it for a pick six. Touchdown, Bethel. He catches it in midfield. Braden Francis from 91 yards from Zach Esau.
Now here's your host, Dan Page, with football coach Terry Harrison.
Hello and welcome to the Thresher Football Show. I'm Dan Page alongside Coach Terry Harrison, the head coach of the Threshers. The Threshers improved to 5-1 on the season with a double overtime victory over Southwestern, 37-31. Never a dull moment when Bethel plays Southwestern in football, but lately it's been a lot of things, not just football. There's other sports here at Bethel. It's kind of a rivalry in recent years. So I can think of some really good basketball games within the last 2 or 3 years, but no, it always comes down to the wire the last 3 seasons, you and Southwestern, Coach.
Yeah, no, it's almost like we predicted it, right? We talked about how every game since I've been here has come down in the fourth quarter, and this one might be I don't know if it beat last year, but maybe it did as far as drama. I guess when you go to double overtime, you probably have to say this one probably takes the cake for that. But no, man, what a crazy game. So many ups and downs and challenging moments. And, we faced a lot of adversity this week just in our program, some things that went on with just, some injuries, new guys playing, injuries in the middle of a game. Man, just what a crazy week. And then to go in and compete like that was man, just what a crazy game, and one that I'll never forget. And so happy we came out on top. And man, what a great game, and so many back and forth moments, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But then ending it with a crazy trick play and then defensive interception from Trey was, man, I'll never forget it. And I think the people there could probably say the same. And so, happy we came out on top, and I think we gave ourselves a lot of chances there to win, and I think certainly the best team won, and even though it was in dramatic fashion. So I think everyone there, we got our money's worth, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. A lot of big things happening. Of course, we can break it down right now from the get-go. Southwestern got the ball first. You guys deferred to the second half, and they went right down and scored. I mean, they made it look really simple and easy, and then you guys kind of traded there, and then you got an answer back score. DJ had a great play. I don't know if it was a draw play that was called or a busted play, but he just took off like he did against Bethany, and made a play out of it. Yeah,
you're right. They came out. I think they converted 2 third and long. So defense actually that first series was very frustrating because they did get down there and score, but we had a couple third down and longs where if we just get a stop, they have to punt. And so that was frustrating, but then to go down there and answer and get the game tied up was awesome. And then, like you talked about DJ early especially, he made some unbelievable plays, getting in the alley there, which he did a great job of, and, showed us he's just an electric runner, which we kind of talked about a lot last week. And, no, it was a crazy start to the game, and we had some missed opportunities, felt like, and we were kind of getting dialed in, and just a few little tweaks we had to make, and we knew we were really close to moving the ball and getting some stops on defense, or more stops, and then from there it kind of once we kind of settled in and were able to kind of get our guys coached up on what exactly they were seeing, man, it was kind of it kind of took the second half. It was funny how that first half felt, and then that second half took on kind of a life of its own, And so it was, the tale of two halves of low-scoring defense in the first half, and that second half, that third quarter especially, was bang, bang, bang for us. And so it was, man, what a crazy start to the game. And like you said, I thought DJ played really well, which, like you talked about, especially some electric runs really early.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, Coach, a pretty defensive second quarter. It was 14-7 at half, Southwestern with the touchdown edge. You guys get the ball to start the second half, and then Chance Curry just takes off. And, I've said it all season, he's got this explosive speed to him now that a lot of people, used to think if you hit this guy and get him in a pack, it's over. But, he tied it up for you guys in a big moment.
Yeah, I think it speaks to, well, number one, our kids, how tough we are. I mean, if nothing else from that game, we just have I think I said it last week. It's not the buildings here. There's nothing special about the buildings. It is the people that make this place special, and specifically our kids. Just how tough they are. They stayed together. They stayed in it, and to see those guys come out and to play in the second half the way they did is, man. Just I'm fortunate to coach these guys. Hopefully, it speaks to the way we recruit. We've recruited those guys. But what a special group of kids, and it does to the families we have and to the players. Man, it is a fun time to be here. It's a special place to be a part of, and that, not to over dramatize it, but man, that's exactly what we talk about when we say we have special kids here. I think we saw it in the second half and how they responded to a very challenging game. And then it also speaks to our coaches, man. When at halftime there was no panic. There was no frustration. It was simply, hey, this is what we're seeing on offense. This is what we're seeing on defense. This is what we need to do to win and to give ourselves a chance to win in the fourth quarter. And we're just very lucky. We have very good players who are very tough. We have very good coaches. And to go in and adjust at halftime, man, it just speaks to the level of coaching we have and the level of player we have. And it was just, incredibly rewarding as the head coach here to see all of those things happen on a Saturday. Kids responding to adversity, coaches making huge adjustments at half to set our kids up for success. And then I think everybody as a program just stayed in it and stuck together. And the harder it got, the more they rallied together as a group and as a team. And man, I think for all of us, people that were there and people that were watching, we can all be so proud to be a part of this thing because, I certainly was the head coach.
Absolutely. It's a situation where you just can't coach that type of thing in that moment. It's something that builds up to that point. And so the Threshers scored 17 unanswered points to take a 24-14 lead, and then some things happened. Of course, within that 24-14, that 17 unanswered, you had a touchdown from Tanner Galliard, ran it, and then a field goal from Logan DeMond was the other 10 points to go along with that touchdown that Chance had, and it was 24-14. Then you guys kind of flipped things over to the fourth quarter. I think they're in the fourth quarter when you guys were going into the wind, and that was a little bit of a struggle at times. Obviously Southwestern came in, they forced overtime based on a few things, a turnover, and then you guys just punting into the wind were two crucial things that got them to force overtime.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So, if you were there, it was very, very windy. In fact, when the officials were setting the ball, they had to hold the ball to the center, got it, because the wind was, was blowing the ball down the field. And so, man, having the win in the third quarter is awesome for field position, right? And then we get in the fourth and it flips on us, and we just couldn't get that thing out. If I remember right, we did punch it out a couple times, and some penalties put us back in, dropped us back to where we had to punt. And so, if you look at the analytics of it as a coach, you can justify going for those fourth downs because of because the way the wind was blowing and your net punt is going to be so low. You look back and we probably should have went for it. Like, being critical of myself, you probably could have, but the other hard part is our defense was playing so well. It's like, man, just don't give the game away on something like that, and give our defense a shot. And so, that's one. Look, I don't know that I'm perfect. I know I'm not perfect, in fact. And so you look back and you probably go for those just because of the net punt situation. But we were in some bizarre scenarios with the wind, and you hope you can drive it out and save your defense at least 20 yards. But we weren't able to do that, and defense still rose up, and forcing that field goal in that first time was huge, because that's what gave us if we give up a touchdown there, and we give another one, we're down. And so, man, just some weird situational football that looking back, I'm glad we were able to win. Maybe we don't handle that right. We probably should have went for those, but again, you make the best decision you can at the time, and you kind of go with your gut there, And so that's kind of what happened. And then, we had some opportunities to convert those and flip the field, and it was so hard because the punts flipped the field too, and he was rugby punt, which means he's running out with the ball, and the wind was howling. They're getting guys down. There's guys in Trey's face. And so, it's something we need to work on, and maybe set some things up where if we get wind like that, maybe we go two returners back where people can't do that to us. So, it's coaches, we got to get better too. And so those are some ways we can look at that, and, maybe go for those fourth and definitely get two returners back, not to put that all on one. But, having said that, man, our defense did an awesome job of getting pinned back and just making those guys earn everything they had and just playing one more play because you never know when you're going to get a turnover. And I'm so proud of those guys for how tough they played. And, wish we could have flipped the field there and into that thing, but, man, it made for that dramatic finish that we talked about. And then really, we talk about the way it worked out. We had a chance. We did get him back there. We get the interception. There's a defensive hold that they calls it back, but the reality is we probably should have had a chance to kick a field goal to win the game at the end of regulation, and man, how cool would that have been? But what a bizarre, so many scenarios to learn from as a coach and as players in that end of the fourth quarter, man. It was definitely bizarre.
It was almost like one of those, pick your next chapter kind of books there at the end because, so many things did happen. You guys were marching down the field, and then you try a pass play to Tanner that gets intercepted off the tip, and then Southwestern has the ball because you guys were marching. You were gonna try to score that possession and in the game as best you could because I think they got 40 or 50 seconds left.
That's right.
To try to go down the field, and then Garrett's interception got called back for a defensive holding, just like you said, and so many things were happening and everything. So we were trying to, at one point we were thinking Logan was going to kick the game-winning field goal in regulation, and then something else happened. So it was just kind of one of those things. It's just you had to be ready for anything, and then you go into overtime, and they scored pretty, one or two plays in to the first overtime, and then overtime's always hard. It's a pressure situation. It's like whoever has the ball or who is down feels all the pressure in those situations, and that you guys get the ball second on that time, and then you drop a nice pass play to Mario.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. That just to finish that fourth quarter thing, you can go a whole season and not have any of those scenarios, and we had them all within like a minute, and so it was crazy, And so we'll just have to look back and like you said, you make the best decisions you can given the moment, and so we definitely gave ourselves a shot, which I was certainly proud of. But no, you go to overtime. You want to go on defense first, so that was nice. But they did go down and scored, and so that definitely caused some pressure. But man, it just we have a freshman quarterback who goes in his second start ever. We had a freshman left tackle playing due to an injury. And Mace's been out with an injury, so Mario's playing full time and rotating with Tuck, and so how crazy is that those guys in this high pressure scenario, they were just smooth and they just kind of operated like we do at practice and gave ourselves some chances to score, and then credit Coach Kelly and our staff, to see what they were doing on defense, and we knew we could pop them there with a little bit with a pass play that we had, and so the second we had that opportunity, we took that, and what a great throw and a great catch, and then go score, and then we were able to convert that to get us to the second overtime, and so again, that I don't know that you can coach the poise in kids. I hope that some of that comes from experience, and we've been in a lot of big games. I mean, countless number of big games that have some pressure moments. But some of that is just the heart of the kid, and our kids' hearts are truly special. And I don't think there's any environment or situation that's too big for them. And so it certainly paid off in that first overtime.
What I've always said about your guys is the way when you spread the wealth like that, everybody's hungry for more, and so it seems like the next guy that gets put in that position is hungry for that opportunity, and they make the most of it. It seems so. And then you guys. You tied things up. It was, 31-31 there, and then you flip around and get the ball again, and you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, what are we going to do here now? And so you do something that they don't really expect. You give the ball to Cam Harrison, and he throws it to Tanner, and he's got 4 extra yards to run it in for the touchdown. So what was with that?
It's we practiced that, which is one of those things. It's one of those you practice it for 4 years, and you kind of have it in your back pocket, and it's just one of those deals. We had been running toss. We've been hitting the perimeter on toss so much, and gashing them, getting big chunks of yardage, and it was just, it's one of those deals. It's like, look, man, we're on the road. We came here to win, and it's kind of the things that it was really scary to call because it is a risky call. But sometimes that's when you do it, whenever you don't think you should, And so it's kind of like, hey, let's do it. And I think we had talked about it in the huddle about it, and our guys were like, yeah, let's do it. And there was probably some laughing going on, and Cam was ready to go, and it was one of those deals. Really fun. I think it's a play that we'll probably not forget for quite a long time. And so, yeah, it was really awesome. That was just fun to, it was one of those calls. It's just fun to see it happen, and it works out just like you practice it. So, yeah, really cool and really aggressive deal. And man, when we talked on the headset, like, man, you want to try it? Every coach was like, do it. And then the kids said, do it. Of course, it's like one of those deals. Like every trick play works in practice, right? And so, hey, man, we did it. It was awesome. Hopefully, it was fun for people to watch. And we do practice it. It wasn't drawn up in the dirt. It's something we practice. And 4 years of doing that 5 minutes a day. Paid off in a pretty big moment, and that was really fun to see.
Yep, super senior to super senior for the touchdown there. So, and then the PAT fails, and so you got to be thinking, oh man, in that situation, it's like every little point matters and everything. And so, I can't remember how many plays until the end of the game, Coach, but probably the biggest play, to win a football game. I don't know that Trey has ever had a play like that in his career, where he not only lays out for the interception to catch it the way he did. He did that a little bit last week against or the week before against Bethany, when it didn't matter as much on the bigger stage of things. But I think that's his 5th interception of the year. I think it's his 13th of his career. And man, we keep talking about the kid every single week, but I mean, I don't think you can top that performance.
Yeah, they should have watched the pregame show, because we talked about that. But no. They had thrown to him earlier, and Trey made an unbelievable play, and it looked like it was out of bounds, but it was a catch, but he just couldn't get that thing out, and and it's one of those deals. You get in that scenario, so they have the pressure, right? And in that double overtime, you have to go for 2. So we went for 2, and we were short. But then, when they got the ball, it was just like you talked about, the pressure we felt in the first overtime. Now it's on them. And, I think we had a good stop on her. They ran the ball. They were in a bad down the distance, I guess is the point, right? Mm-hmm. So they were second and long, third and long, and you kind of, what are you going to do, And, they threw the ball at him, and he made an unbelievable play. And, man, his body position was so good as far as shielding that guy off, and then able to make a play on the ball. His ball skills are unbelievable. And so, man, it was really cool and fun, and knowing that into the game. It was kind of like when we had that block PAT at Ottawa a couple years ago, and we ended the game with a block PAT. It's just one of those, you just don't get to see that. That just doesn't happen very often. And so, man, it's so awesome. And I thought our defense, think of how tough those guys had to be. We talk about the toughness of our kids and their character. The first overtime, they gave up chunks, and they went down and scored. But then to come back and to play with confidence and to play aggressive and to rally behind each other for that second overtime for the win, it takes a special group of kids, and that's what we have right now. And so, man, it was as exhausting, exciting, and draining, and frustrating, and fun. Every emotion I certainly felt and was, man, after that game, you talk about roller coaster and all that good stuff. That was. It felt like we ran a marathon. I was exhausted, and which I shouldn't, right? Our kids played really hard, right? I was just on the sideline, but the emotion, the mental energy, and the emotional drain was, unbelievable. And I know I talked to some of the parents afterwards, and they all felt the same way, just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. And so, man, what a great game, and it'll go down for, that's 2 years in a row of just, legendary football games, and for our kids to be the guys that come out on top. I mean, what else can you say about our kids other than they're a tough, special group, and you can't count us out, and they're gonna, they're always gonna, make good stuff happen when bad stuff happens, like we talk about, and just another example of that.
Absolutely, the Threshers get a double overtime victory at Southwestern. 37-31 was the score. National implications in that football game, and as well as conference implications, because Southwestern still, you guys and them are at the same record right now, 5-1 kind of, and then they have Kansas Wesleyan as their last regular season game. So if anybody's watching from afar, they probably see what you have to do to put yourself in a really good situation, and you can't count your chickens, so to speak, a little bit. This point of the season, you're only 6 games in. There's so much football left to be played, but unbelievable performance. And then it doesn't get any easier this week or the next week even. I mean, Avila comes to town this week, and they're going to present a challenge. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Coach, real quick, just recapping, you played your last JV game of the JV season, 3 games this year, and go to Bethany and pull out a victory. Yeah, no, hey, proud of our kids. Hopefully you saw that on our social media account, but it's what we talk about, stacking future wins, and some of those guys that have
that have played in JV games in the past are the ones that have stepped in when we've had some injuries or whatever that looks like, and they've taken advantage of opportunities on Saturday. So, we were able to go to Bethany, and if you're ever going to win a national championship at any level, or state championship, you got to win one on the road. And that was kind of our motto this week for JV. If you're going to win a national championship, you got to win one on the road, and we got to practice that. And so, man, they did a phenomenal job. Was dominant. I mean, they were dominant. Just so unbelievable in a pretty tough environment and being on the road and all that good stuff. And man, they played really well. I don't remember the score. Maybe 47-0. We had a defensive touchdown. Offense did a great job of marching the ball. Defense, man, made so many huge plays. And so, that I think our JV season this year, we did not give up a touchdown in 3 games, and like 180 points, I think. So we scored 180 and gave up 0 against quality opponents who are, playing each other in competitive games. So it speaks to those kids. And again, we said it last week, but can't say it enough. Those guys practice just as hard. They would lift just as hard, and they follow just tough the schedule as anyone who's playing on Saturday. And for them to get rewarded with playing time and then go, and we're going to celebrate that, and we're not sorry for that. We're not doing that in jest. We really are proud of those guys, and it's awesome to see those guys win. And winning creates more winning, and they're able to do that. And those scenarios of learning how to win a football game, even if it's 47-0, 67 or 70-0, whatever those games are, they step on the field and they're going to do whatever it takes to win. And later on, when those guys are in an overtime situation or in a tight game in the fourth quarter with a Southwestern or a Kansas Wesleyan or Avila or whoever that may be, they know how to win football games, and it's going to stack future wins for our program. And so, can't overstate enough. Super proud of those guys. They're tough guys. They played extremely hard, and we love it. We're proud of them. Thankful for our families that traveled. And just couldn't be more proud of that, and it's something we want to maintain, just that tough JV schedule and that tough developmental program, because we do know, as hard as it is on a Monday after a big Saturday, you have to play in the now on the Saturdays, and you have to build for the future on the Mondays, and it's going to be a staple of our program and who we are, and something that we take great pride in. And so just hats off to those kids. Everything we've said about the guys on Saturdays, you can say about those guys. They're tough, they're winners, they're special, they embrace it, and they get an opportunity to compete on a Monday, and they play, as hard as possible. And so couldn't be more proud of them, and it's, testament to their families, their parents, all the people they're connected to, and their high school programs and all that stuff that we've recruited to, because those guys are winners and they've done a good job. So couldn't be more proud of them.
Absolutely. The JV squad finishes 3-0 on the year, and then the Threshers 5-1, and that sets up a pretty big football game at home this week, an afternoon kick, first home afternoon game this season against the Avila Eagles, who I believe are 4-2 coming into this football game. Losses most recently to Kansas Wesleyan 30-20, and then they lost to Southwestern. So it'll be a pretty big football game, 1 o'clock at Thresher Stadium. The KCAC network will have the call for that one this week. So we're going to take a time out here on the Thresher Football Show. When we come back, we'll talk about the Eagles and the Threshers here on the Thresher Football Show.
Thresher fans, get ready for the 2021-2022 school year by becoming a member of the Bethel Booster Club. Your membership impacts all athletic programs by paying for experiences last year, such as the Threshbees Award Show, postseason experiences and postseason tickets, the Hall of Fame banquet, enhanced live streaming equipment, windscreens at Thresher Stadium, improvements at Weedle Field and Ward Tennis Center, and new wall mats inside Thresher Gym. Be a part of Thresher Athletics history in a booster club that has grown 500% in the past 5 years, over 4 levels of membership plus a parent level. Join the Bethel College Booster Club today to help student athletes live out life-changing experiences. For more information, go to bethelks.edu/booster-club today.
Welcome back to the Thresher Football Show. Dan Page, Coach Terry Harrison, head football coach of the Threshers, 5-1 on the season, ranked at number 16 in the NAIA polls. It's interesting. Kansas Wesleyan goes up to number 7 this week, and you guys only lost to them by a touchdown. So it's kind of a head scratcher there from the rankings and everything, but that's just somebody from the outside looking in. But you guys get a very talented Avila Eagles football team, still receiving votes, and rightfully so. The only teams that they lost to are Kansas Wesleyan and Southwestern, so they're a good opponent, and they come to your house again. They're probably wanting revenge from last year's 10-point win that you guys pulled out season opener for 2020, and a lot of things have happened since then. They've got some different personnel, but what do you see when you look at Avila so far?
Yeah, just what we know about them last year, right? We end up, splitting a conference championship with them last year because they won out after we beat them, and they've been one of the top teams in the conference the last couple of years, kind of like we have been. And their head coach, we came in the same year, and our programs are similar as far as the growth we've had, and so they do a really good job on offense and defense. They have good coaches and good players. Well, it's a little different model than we use as far as how their program's done it, but they've done a really good job, in their own way, and so. They're a really good team, and they've already lost 2, and so I'm sure they're going to be ready to roll and give us their best shot. And so, we're going to have a good week of practice and limit some of their weapons, which I know we'll talk about, to give ourselves an opportunity to win it. But my guess is it will be very similar to Southwestern as far as the level of competitiveness, and it's going to come down to in those scenarios that we can't predict who handles those scenarios the best, and whether that's field position or turnovers or whatever that is. Unfortunately, you have to wait till Saturday to figure that out. But my guess is that's going to be the deal in the game, because they are, they're a very good team, and they've got some very talented players.
Absolutely. You think of Avila in the past, they like to throw the rock. They've had talented receivers. You kind of look at their personnel this go around. They've had a long-time running back, Malik Nesbitt. He's already rushed for 600 yards this year, 11 touchdowns. So you see that, and you think, you have to respect so much about their offense. Yeah,
the Nesbitt kid was Offensive Player of the Year in the conference last year, had a bunch of yards, and so it's like we talked about with Southwestern. Their running back had a really good, he'd been having a really good statistical year, and so you can't just say, hey, they're going to throw the ball every down, because they do have a really good running back, and so you got to balance that up as far as what you prepare for and what you're going to limit or try to, what you're going to try to do defensively. And so, he's definitely going to be a challenge, because he is a big, physical, fast running back. He really has every skill, that you want out of a running back, and so that's a huge challenge for our box. And then, their quarterback. That's what they do. They bring in transfers, right? Whereas we want to develop our program over the course of time with developmental schedules and recruit kids, and develop them. They have a lot of transfer quarterbacks, and so the one they have this year that I anticipate we'll see the most is a transfer kid who very mobile. He can throw the ball as well, and so he poses some challenge, because now you have the running back who's a good player, you have a mobile quarterback, and you have some talented receivers, and you do kind of have to. You got to kind of pick your poison on what you want to allow or what you want to limit or things like that. And so, Coach Kemp and Coach Daly, Coach Dent, Coach Kerr, they've been working extremely hard at that. And so we're still trying to piece together this plan of, okay, what do we want to attack and try to limit? And so they pose some challenges for a defense for sure.
You got to think about last year. You have to try to guess to see if they're going to try to pull something on you guys, because they were not expecting that defense that you guys busted out at the beginning of the 2020 season to come right at them. And so you have to wonder a little bit if they've got something in their back pocket for you guys.
Yeah, you never know, right? We'll just have to wait and see. But that's, we had a lot of time, last year before we played, we had a lot of time to sit and talk about what we were going to do on defense, and that was kind of that was the first game we decided, hey, there's going to be snaps we don't line anybody up within 7 yards of the ball, and so it was a scary game for us. We were probably as nervous as we've ever been before a game. I know Coach Kemp and I were just like, are we really going to do this? And but our kids were obviously have embraced that. Now it's kind of been a little bit of who we are, right? And so yeah, that was probably a surprise for them last year. But they it's still something you got to get ready for, and it still poses some challenges. And we tweak everything week to week anyway. And so what you see on one film one week is not the exact same thing you get the next week. And so even though it is going to be round 2 for them, kind of seeing our defense, it's they're going to get a way different look than we've ever given anyone before, just because we try to make things challenging. And so it'll be interesting to see what their plan is. But they do a really good job, and they've won a lot of big games. And so I'm sure they will have. They probably prepared for us a lot, outside of their normal games, like a lot of people are starting to do. They kind of have a Bethel portion of practice. And so, luckily our kids have kind of risen to every challenge that like that. And so it will be interesting to see what they do for sure.
So you're saying it was very much in the experimental phase at that time, beginning of 2020, and now you guys have had, of course, had a lot of practice with it.
Yeah. Well, we were so invested, like it was too late on game day to change it. It was, hey, this is what we're doing.
buying in. You guys pull out the 10-point victory in last year's football game, but obviously, a lot of sacks that day. I think Mark Lanier was his breakout party for you guys at that day. But you got to think about that when you come into this kind of football game. And obviously, Avila is very talented. That you're averaging 38 points a game and nearly 300 yards passing and almost 200 yards rushing the football as well. So a very, very talented offensive team and well coached. Very much so, and so they definitely have guys that can do it. And then flipping over to their defense versus your offense, Coach, their defense giving up 24 points a game. They're only allowing 81 yards per game in the run category, which is interesting. So, they'll want to try to be successful and keep that momentum going against you guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. They, I think they ran 7 different fronts against us last year, which we love because we prepare for all those every day, and so. That's something they've got to decide, right? Are you going to run one static front, or are you going to try to bounce around and, confuse us at the risk of confusing yourself? And that's a decision that defensive coordinators have to make every week. And so, we're going to prepare like we always do for every possible front. And, the hope is if they play as many fronts, they're going to, they're going to maybe guess wrong on a certain play. And, it'd be interesting to see what they choose to do. But we know they'll have a plan, and we had a great practice today, and then I know that our kids are ready for that. So we love that. I personally love that when guys are bouncing around on us and run all kinds of different fronts because it's fun for us and to play that kind of chess game of what you're getting. And it's always fun to watch our kids because that's just never been a factor for us when you run a bunch of different fronts. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do. And we always look forward to that challenge as a coach. You want, as hard as games are that are tight, like, the emotional roller coaster of the Southwestern game, boy, it's way more rewarding when you win those and you're in those, and you want to be in those games that matter, that give you chill bumps and give you high anxiety in the middle of the game. And, so it'll be interesting to see what they do for sure.
And I'm sure they'll watch a lot of that Southwestern film and kind of look at, for some of those things that you guys haven't run as often as you have in the past couple of seasons, the trick plays kind of things to kind of rehearse against. What are you going to do? React against that. And the point of it is, you don't know until you're in the moment how to best defend that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's the deal, right? We say the days are long and the week is short, so we just have to go to practice every day, and we keep, doing what we do and getting ready for all these different fronts. And then, we have our little wrinkles that we throw at people that there's no way they could prepare for, and whether that's a formation, whether that's plays, and, then it comes down to, adjusting on the field, which I believe with our staff is always going to be a strength of ours, and I would hope anyway we have an advantage. And so can't wait for this one because they are a very good team. Coach Benavidez is an awesome dude. He's done a really good job there. Avila has a very similar history to Bethel as far as long-term history, and then on the short term, he's been able to build a winning program. So a lot of respect for him, and it's been fun to get to know him as a peer. But certainly we want to beat him, and we're going to practice to that end. So can't wait for it.
Absolutely, it's the Threshers and the Avila Eagles. Number 16 Bethel against Avila receiving votes in the NAIA polls. And Coach, I know you consider so many different things at this late into the season, and some of the least things that you spend your mind on is thinking about what's the grand picture of things. Where could you be at the end of the season, kind of thing. And right now, sitting at number 16 in kind of the polls, and obviously with Southwestern yet to play Kansas Westland, there's so many different things that can happen. And we were just talking about it off the air a little bit that you guys still have a tough road to go. Not just with Avila, then at Sterling, and then you get a Tabor rivalry football game at home, and then a couple road games after that. And so it's definitely not over for you guys, because you played 6 games, and college football is so much different than high school. A lot of situations where those games you're not playing as much in those seasons, and now you get to this point where, man, we have to keep it up, be consistent and do all the little things right.
Yeah, it's a really weird year across the country, right? And sometimes you get in our bubble of our own conference, and that's what we focus on. But we're on the first game of a really tough 3-game stretch that we talked about, right? So Southwestern, Avila, Sterling have teams that are very good in our conference. They can beat anyone at any time, and so The weird part this year is other conferences across the country have these couple weeks, they have very similar matchups in their own conference where you have the top teams are kind of playing each other. So there's a lot shaken out across the country, which unfortunately is going to take a couple weeks for this all to pan out. So on the coaching side, it's very easy to, hey, well, we can only focus on this week anyway, and it makes it easy for a coach to, hey, let's worry about this game. But we do know that over the next couple weeks, those things are going to play out. And as long as we take care of business, all of our goals are still attainable, whether you call that a conference championship, a potential playoff bid as a champion or a runner-up. All those things that can play out. And so what we've got to do is focus on this game, right? Which, every coach says, but it really is true. And so there's going to be some shakeup across the country over the next couple of weeks. I think also, if you're not as familiar with people across the country, there's the fewest amount of undefeated teams in the country than there has been over the last, probably decade, right? So there's the least amount of undefeated teams in the top 10. And so it's gonna be very interesting to see how it shakes out. There's really no way to predict it, especially in our conference and then across the country. So, what we want to do is position ourselves as best as possible. And the cool part is we have an opportunity to do that, right? And so it is nice to know 6 games in, all of our goals are still attainable. We have to focus on what we can control, which our kids always do. And it's not like you have to sell that to them. But as a coach, when you look at polls, it can be frustrating. Like, man, there's no movement. But there is a lot going on over the next couple weeks across the country. And so even though it's not on our radar, there's a lot going on. And so it is good to know, though, that certainly your goals are attainable. That you can have an opportunity for a postseason bid, whether that's as a champion, which is a little bit out of our control, or a runner-up. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. Us winning last year helped us. Us competing very well against Lindsey Wilson helps us. But what we've got to do is make sure we give ourselves that opportunity. So it should be a really fun stretch. We've got to stay in tune with these next what we call the hardest 3 weeks of our schedule, Southwestern, Avila, Sterling. So, man, we have to take care of business. And, what we're focused on is taking care of our kids' bodies. We've had some very light practices where, really focused on assignment to protect our kids' bodies so that they can be at full strength on Saturdays because, man, our kids, they play so hard and they lay it on the line. And, man, it takes them days to get back, because they just play extremely hard. Man, it's harder than any team I've ever been a part of. This group, they play that way. And so if we can protect our bodies and stay healthy and keep improving just a little bit each week, like we seem to be doing, it's good to know that all of our goals are attainable and we're going to practice and play to that end. And so it's going to require a little bit of patience, especially over the next couple of weeks, not because of us, but, because of the other conferences around the country. And so, that's all we can do is kind of focus on ourselves and know that, we positioned ourselves over the last couple of years to be in this conversation. And so if we take care of business, we should have a shot. But there are a few things out of our control as far as that goes. So it should be an exciting stretch.
The fans are definitely thinking about a lot of these things. They're rallying behind you guys. They want, back-to-back playoff seasons, and who wouldn't? I mean, that a supporter of the program, potential players and prospective players and families and everybody. So, that it's on their minds as well. So, I mean, I know I've heard Coach speak enough in my life to know that, how much you really consider it and everything. But, it's one thing to address it, and then, it's like you said, something that's a little bit out of your control in some situations, but all you can do is just line it up and play your best. So
that's right. It's
the Threshers and the Avila Eagles, a 1:00 kick from Thresher Stadium. I'll have the call on the KCAC network, and you can watch it at KCAC network. You can watch it if you have a Roku or Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, all of that stuff. You can just have that right into your television and watch it there, or you can watch it on the stream and go to BethelThreshers.com and just click the watch live there on your computer screen or on your mobile device, wherever you are. There's a good place to do that. So that's going to do it for this week's show. I appreciate everybody watching week in and week out. We got some people that wake up early, Coach, to watch that, when you have a 1:00 kick and you're going on the road kind of a thing. And I know eventually there's 11:00 kick later this season for West Texas A&M on the road. So a lot of people wake up early for our show, and we're glad to produce it for you and give you something to listen to on the way to the game. So for Coach Harrison, I'm Dan Page saying roll on, and we'll see you next time.